Right. So chemical energetics में um the energy change that occurs when the when any reaction is is possible, right? So what is the change in, like, it's going to be release energy in the surrounding, or it's going to absorb the energy from the surrounding, right? So these are the learning objectives. You know that according to the conservation of mass, we say that like conservation of mass, and also there is conservation of energy, right? That energy can neither be created nor be destroyed. We can only change the form of energy from one form to another form, right? As we said, the total mass remains constant. So similarly, we cannot change the energy, like it cannot be created or not destroyed. It can only be changed from one form to another, right? So, like in the chemical reaction, how energy is transferred? It is transferred in the form of heat energy or light energy. All right. Any problem till here, Amreen and Tuba? It's the
No.
conservation of energy, right? Now, so there are two experiments. In experiment one, we are just going to add sodium hydroxide to water. So what you're going to do, you're going to measure the initial temperature of water and using a thermometer, and then you're going to add sodium hydroxide pellets. You're going to stir it, and you're going to find out the record the final temperature, right? So the temperature of the water is recorded before and after adding sodium hydroxide. Okay, this can also be included in planning question, right? We'll also be discussing what should be the once they are done. There are so many questions which comes on the basis of this experiment out of six, right? And the basic is that how you're going to say the reaction is exo or endo. So which things you have to keep constant and which things you have to change, right? So in experiment one, you are adding sodium hydroxide in water. You are measuring initial and final temperature. And in experiment two, you are adding ammonium chloride crystals in water. Again, you are just going to, for the fair test, in both of the experiments, you're going to measure same volume of water, right? And the mass of like solids added is supposed to be same, right? So, and what measurement you're going to do is going to be the independent variable is one that you are changing, right? So the independent variable is going to be sodium hydroxide and ammonium chloride, right? Other things you have to keep constant are going to be volume of water and the mass of solids. Okay. So again, you're just going to measure initial and final temperature of water. Okay. This is a result of your experiment. Like when you were adding sodium hydroxide, initial temperature was 28 and final temperature rose was 34, right? When you added ammonium chloride, initial temperature was 28 and the final temperature was 22. Now see, in which temperature, in which experiment the temperature rose was experiment one. And the one in which the temperature decline or decrease was experiment two. So what could you deduce about these, right? What could you conclude about these experiments, right? So in experiment one, heat energy was given out, right, when solid was dissolved in water. So thus you can see the temperature of the solution rose. All right. So we say this change as an exothermic change. All right. Do let me know, Tuba and Ambreen, did you get this concept?
Yes.
Yes.
So whenever like you are performing an experiment and when there is going to be rise in the temperature, we say it's an exothermic change. And in experiment two, you could just have, recorded the initial and final temperature. So there was, the temperature has decreased. The final temperature was lower than the initial temperature, means the energy was absorbed from the surrounding by the reactant. Okay. So in experiment two, the heat energy was taken in when the solid is dissolved in water. So therefore, we can say that the temperature of the solution dropped, and we say this change as an endothermic change. Okay. So what are the exothermic changes and endothermic changes? Exo means exit, gives out heat energy to the surroundings, right? So as it is giving heat energy to the surroundings, the surrounding temperature rises. All right. As the temperature heat is given out to the surroundings. Okay. And examples of like exothermic changes are going to be condensation, freezing, respiration, combustion of fuels, right? You burn fuels to release energy, right? Neutralization is also an exothermic change, and also rusting of iron. Okay. We are just going to deduce on the whiteboard that how come condensation and freezing are exothermic changes, right? Assalamu alaikum, Alisa. We are just discussing that is energy from chemicals, chemical energetics, right?
Okay.
So I'm just going to draw a particle model of solid. You know, the particles are arranged in the form of lattice touching, and in the liquid alone, they're not drawn accurately, actually, no. Whenever I'm just recording, now there is going to be a problem with the particles should be touching, and they should be in the regular pattern. If I'm just going to draw it quickly, though, right? And in the liquid, the particles are randomly arranged, right? Still touching. And the gases, the particles are far from each other, not touching. Okay. Now, condensation is a process by which the gas turns into liquid. All right. Now we have to see, bete, that is condensation an exothermic change or endothermic change, right? So see in condensation that gas is converted into liquid, right? So see the particles are come closer to each other. So they must have release energy in the surrounding. Okay. So we can say that condensation is an exothermic change, right? Did you get it? Similarly, Vijay, like when you are going to say that the change of state when liquid turns into solid is going to be freezing. Huh? So what is freezing? Freezing is also, they must have released their energy to the surrounding, right? And the particles come closer to each other. So freezing is also an exothermic change. Okay? Do you understand, girls?
Miss, so when the particles come together, it's exothermic.
Because they're releasing the energy in the surrounding and come closer to each other. Similarly, if you're just going to go opposite, right? Like when you say when solid turns into liquid, that's melting. You know? Now see what happens in melting, the particles are moved further from each other, right? So they must have absorbed the energy from the surroundings. So the force of attraction has broken and they move far from each other. So melting is an endothermic change, right?
Okay.
Similarly, when liquid turns into gas, that's going to be evaporation or boiling, na? So see, from liquid to gas, the particles are still, the particles have moved far from each other. So they must have again absorbed the energy from the surrounding. So they move further from each other. Okay. So we can say that evaporation or boiling is also an endothermic change. Right? They're absorbing the energy from the surrounding. Okay? Tuba, Amreen, Aliza, did you get it, Betty?
Yes.
Okay. Should we move further? Any problem? Amreen, Tuba?
No.
Okay. So we just have reduced epithet that exothermic reactions are the reaction which release energy in the surrounding, right? And surrounding temperature rises. We just have reduced till here. Condensation, freezing, respiration, like you might have done in biology, right? So like aerobic respiration, right? We release energy and we are going to do so many works with it, right? Like getting off nerve impulses, active transport, right? Protein synthesis, so that respiration is an exothermic change. It's going to release energy in the surrounding, right? Combustion of fuels are burned to release energy is an exothermic change. Neutralization is an exothermic change. Displacement reactions, if you remember, that's also exothermic change. We were used to say temperature rises. Okay? The reaction of metals with that acid is also an exothermic change, right? Rusting of iron is also exothermic change. So there are more examples of exothermic change as compared to endothermic change, right? So endothermic changes are the changes which absorbs, take in, endo, right? Takes in heat energy from the surroundings. So as they are taking heat energy from the surroundings, the temperature falls. Surrounding temperatures, including water, solution, right? So surrounding temperature falls as heat is taken in from the surroundings. Okay. As we discussed that melting, boiling, photosynthesis is an endothermic change, right? Action of light on photography film, we don't have to do that. or thermal decomposition is also an endothermic change, right? And some of the salts, when they are dissolving in water, they that's examples of endothermic change. You might have said that when you're just using the cold packs, right? So it feels cold, right, on your skin. Okay. Because that are going to undergo endothermic. They are absorbing the energy from your skin, right? So therefore your body feels cold. Okay. So these are examples of endothermic changes. Okay. Did you understand the basic concept about exo and endothermic changes, girls?
Yes.
Hmm.
So are you gonna send this to us in the group?
I will share. I will share. Don't worry. Yeah. Give me 1 minute, okay? I just have to mute here. Now, what is an enthalpy change or heat of reaction? Okay? We're just going to represent this with delta. The small triangle is known as delta. That means change in heat. Okay? So what is enthalpy change or heat of reaction? They keep on asking. That's the amount of heat energy which is given out or taken in during a reaction, right? Like how much energy is released for exothermic change or how much energy is absorbed for an endothermic change is known as heat of reaction. Okay. So enthalpy change or heat of reaction is the amount of heat energy given out or taken in during a chemical reaction. All right, girls. So simply you could just write in your own words. Enthalpy change or heat of reaction is the amount of energy which is released or absorbed, all right, or which is given out or taken in during a chemical reaction. It's going to be positive for endothermic change and it's going to be negative for exothermic reactions. Okay. So heat energy or enthalpy change is positive for endothermic and negative for exothermic reactions. Okay. Did you get it?
Yeah.
Okay. That was all like in this presentation. What is exothermic change? What is endothermic change? What is a heat energy, right? Then we will be talking about energy profile diagrams. Okay. I'll be explaining you, okay, on the whiteboard, right? And one more thing, but you like after the after the class, now you could just make your notes, right? I will share the presentation and whichever help, and if people can take the screenshot from the whiteboards. So, all right. Now see, when we are going to do, there is one more thing that is known as energy profile diagrams. Very, very important. That comes in, MCQs as well in structured question. In structured question, they can even give 4 to 5 marks in which they could ask us to draw the energy profile diagram for exo-endothermic change with the labeling, right? So we are just going to discuss energy profile diagram for exothermic change first. Okay? Exothermic, exothermic reaction which releases heat energy in the surrounding. Okay. Now, I'm going to start it by drawing two axes, right? This is going to be x-axis and this is y-axis. Okay. On x-axis, I have to label this as progress of reaction or reaction pathway. Okay. Energy profile diagram or reaction pathway diagram, right? So progress of reaction on x-axis. Actually, sometimes, once in they give in O levels in 2003, they just give the blank, this graph, and they ask the students to label x-axis and y-axis. The students very well knew about where to, label reactants, products, and all, but they skipped somehow. They were used to do, incomplete diagram stuff. So, but they just forgot that what comes on x-axis, right? So I just prefer that whenever you're drawing, so try to, label by yourself. So on x-axis is progress of reaction and on y-axis there is going to be energy. Okay. Then, as we are going to draw exothermic energy profile diagram, so see, you are going to do one more thing here. Okay, as it's releasing the energy in the surrounding, So this is the energy of the products and this is the energy of the reactants. Again, repeating. See, like in an exothermic reaction, energy is being released in the surrounding, है ना? So the reactants will have more energy than the products. ठीक है? So here we have the reactants and here we have the products. I'll repeat again if you have any problem, right? Acha, what is the enthalpy change? Is the energy, difference between the reactants and products, right? But it's going to undergo the minimum amount of energy, that's an energy barrier to start a chemical reaction that we call this as an activation energy, right? And we have to label this with a hump. We have to mention this with a hump, right? Okay. So what is this hump represent? This is an activation energy, all right? So this is the starting from the reactants to the hump with the upward arrow. In few of the books there is going to be double arrow, so there is going to be only a single arrow which is upwards. It's an activation energy and its symbol is capital E small a, right? It is known as activation energy. Is a minimum amount of an energy the reacting particles must have to start a chemical reaction, all right? Or minimum amount of an energy to start a reaction is known as activation energy. You might have done, in biology, or if you have done rate of reaction, that when you're using catalyst or enzymes, it decreases the activation energy, right? So activation energy is the minimum energy which is needed to start a chemical reaction, or a minimum amount of an energy that the reacting particles must have to collide, right? To start a reaction. Okay. Now, so here we have the reactants, here we have the products for exothermic reaction, right? Now here we have to label the heat of reaction. So what is it? The heat of reaction or enthalpy change is the energy, that is how much energy is released or absorbed during a reaction, okay? So that is going to be the energy difference from the reactants to product. So this is going to be from the reactants and products, this is an energy difference, and its arrow is downwards for exothermic change, okay? And delta H or enthalpy change is going to be negative for exothermic reaction, and that you are going to represent with the downward arrow, okay? But this activation energy arrow is always upwards. It's always given. It's always positive, whether it is exo or endothermic reaction. Okay. But enthalpy change is going to be the difference between the reactants and products, and its arrow is downwards, and its value is negative. Okay. Now let me know, Aliza, Tuba, and Amreen, is there any problem in energy profile diagram?
No.
No.
If you have notes, if you could just make side by side with me, that also you could do, whatever you want, okay? Then I will be, if you're done with it, so we are just going to discuss about endothermic energy profile diagram for endothermic reaction, okay? Do let me know.
I took a screenshot.
Yeah, say, Aliza.
I said I took a screenshot.
Okay, sure. All right, let's discuss about your endothermic energy profile diagram. So there is also going to be one more thing, that's energy level diagram. Now, in energy level diagram, they do not mention the activation energy. That's it. Reactants, products, and this is, enthalpy change. Now, previously it was supposed to be given, but starting from 2023, they have stopped giving energy level diagram. Okay. So if they are giving energy level diagram, make sure it does not contain activation energy. See? So endothermic reaction, let's draw energy profile diagram for endothermic reaction. Sure. Again, bacho, we need to draw two axes, x-axis, y-axis. On x-axis, we are going to write down progress of reaction. On y-axis, we are going to write down energy. Okay. Now, in endothermic change, what happens? Like, as it is absorbing the energy from the surroundings, right? So, in endothermic reaction, products will have more energy than the reactants. Okay? So, here we have products, and here we have reactants. Okay. Now, what will be activation energy? Activation energy is the minimum amount of an energy that the reacting particles must have, so that you are going to make from the reactants upwards to the products and then downwards. Okay. Now, how are you going to label it? It's going to be started from the reactants to the hump. So it's going to be from reactants to that hump. Okay. And this is going to be activation energy. All right. Okay. Now see, what will be its enthalpy change? Enthalpy change is the heat of reaction, amount of energy which is released or absorbed during the reaction or when the reactants are converted into products. Okay? Now this is going to be enthalpy change. Starting from the reactants to the products, its arrows upwards as it is endothermic, as it is absorbing the energy from the surrounding. So delta H is going to be positive and its arrow is going to be upwards. Okay? Just note down one thing, but like activation energy for endothermic reaction is almost double than the activation energy of exothermic reaction. Okay? But activation energy arrow is always upwards. So always provided, it's never negative. Enthalpy change is negative for exothermic reaction and positive for endothermic reaction. And the arrow is upwards for endothermic reaction, enthalpy change, and the arrow for exothermic reaction is downwards. Okay? I'm emphasizing on these energy profile diagrams because in MCQs, they do give us incorrect options as well. So we should be able to, identify. All right? Tuba, Ambreen, Eliza, are you getting it, Betty?
Yes.
Did you get it? Sometimes, they're just giving us a particular reaction and they're asking us to label the reactants and products. Okay? So what do the students do? They just write down here the reactants, here the products. Okay? Now suppose, Betty, if they have given us the reaction of methane, combustion of methane, right? Complete combustion is going to give us carbon dioxide and water. We just have to see the balancing of equation 4. So it's going to be okay. Now see, they are asking us to label the reactants and products now. To try to label the actual reactants and products. Like I will write down here CH4 plus O2, and here I will write down the CO2 plus H2, the products. Okay? Actual reactants and products should be labeled in your energy profile diagrams. Okay, Betty? Is that point clear? To Bambreen and Aliza?
Yes.
Okay. Now we'll be this, I will be showing you the presentation and through which we will be discussing activation energy and then few energy profile diagrams, right? Whatever we have discussed, and this is also going to be the starter question. So let's do that, okay? So should I just erase the whiteboard, Betty? Have you taken the screenshots, girls?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So see here, that's a question, the MCQ from the paper. 2 energy profile diagrams are shown. The scale on the y-axis is same for both diagrams, right? Okay. Which statement is correct? First of all, let's evaluate but show the diagrams, yeah? Now see, in both of the reaction, products have more energy than the reactants, है ना? So means they both are endothermic reactions. Do you agree? How did I know? Because they both are, and both of the energy profile diagrams, products have more energy than the reactants. Okay. Now let's label. This is going to be an activation energy for this reaction, and this is an enthalpy change of reaction 1. This is an activation energy of reaction 2, and this is an enthalpy change for reaction 2. Reaction 1, reaction 2. Okay. Okay, now let's reduce now. The both reaction are exothermic, no. We said both are endo. Only one reaction is endo, no. Okay. The activation energy of reaction 1 is smaller than the activation energy of reaction 2. Is this correct? Activation energy of reaction 1 is smaller? No, it's more, right? You can just see from, as you do in physics, just see the size of the arrow. Larger the arrow, more will be the energy. Okay? So the activation energy of reaction is 1 smaller? No. Activation energy of 2 is smaller. Okay, bachcho? So that is also going to be incorrect option. Okay? Then the enthalpy change of reaction is 2 is larger than the enthalpy change of reaction 1. It's correct. Okay? Did you understand, Tuba, Aliza, and Amreen?
Yes.
Okay. So this is how we deduce, okay? Now, they're just going to talk about about activation energy, right? So all reactions need energy in order to get started. For example, a mixture of hydrogen and oxygen will not explode unless it is ignited. Okay. Many reactions that do not occur at room temperature will proceed rapidly when the reactants are heated. Heat provides the energy to change less energetic particles into more energetic particles and thus to start a reaction. So what is an activation energy? Is a minimum energy that reacting particles must possess in order for a chemical reaction to occur, right? It's called the activation energy. Okay? Like if there is certain minimum amount of an energy the reacting particles have, so the reaction will start. Okay? If the particles will not have that much energy, the reaction will not proceed. Okay, dear? I will share these now, so you could just make the notes, right? Now see energy profile diagram for exothermic reaction we have already discussed. On x-axis progress of reaction, y-axis is energy, and this is exothermic change. Okay? Enthalpy change, and this is activation energy. Okay,
Miss,
say.
so for each reaction, the activation energy, the minimum level is like the same or different?
For which reaction, Lisa?
For any, because I did not understand the activation energy point.
See, the activation energy is like for every reaction, there is a certain amount of energy to occur. Okay? If they do not have that much energy, then the reaction will not occur. The activation energy is necessary for any reaction to occur. Some reactions are spontaneous. Now, they occur at the room temperature because in case past the energy is available to start a reaction. Got it?
Yeah.
Okay. So, but when you're doing for exothermic reaction, activation energy is smaller than the activation energy of endothermic reaction. Okay? Yeah. So therefore, we have less endothermic reactions, and more exothermic reaction. Okay? Because exothermic reaction में very less amount of energy is required. Got it?
Yes, miss.
Okay. So I hope there's no problem. Now, just rejoin girls, we will be doing further now. That fine, what are exothermic changes? What are endothermic changes? What are energy profile diagrams? Okay? And I'll just show you one question. Try to attempt it regarding energy profile diagram, then we'll move to this. Okay? Rejoin. Okay?